Hello there, guys. In this video for today, we're going to be talking about how to debug some really weird errors. And this is something that will happen to absolutely everyone that's working with AEM at some point. Um, the minification process for the JavaScript files is usually done by something that's called the YUI compressor, Yahoo's UI compressor. And it usually is not enabled locally, but it is enabled on the production server, so that leads to some weird errors. So we're gonna be looking at some of these things and how to fix them. And just these are just maybe small tips, but they should be really helpful. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to show you here is a very basic and bare bones Angular controller that I built. It's something that's called basic controller, and it receives a couple of injected items, has a message that's empty, and has an init function that will receive an object with two properties. One of them is called delete, and the other is called delete description because this is a title, and basically it will just place those two strings together, adding a colon here, and that's it. I mean, it's as basic as it can get. So let's see how is that behaving on our actual uh, AEM instance. So let's go here. I already have it somewhere. I'm going to open this one up. And what I'm going to see is I already placed this one below. So here it is. It's a raw HTML component because I really didn't want to go through all the motions of creating a lot of complex things just for this small test. But basically, here we have it. It's div with an ng controller of basic control, ng cloak, and ng init, where we're using this actual init function that we defined on the controller, and we're sending a couple of strings here. Delete has a literal delete, and delete description is something went really wrong. Just to show you that this is actually working, and here's a message once it's placed together. I'm just gonna modify this one here and said it's really, really wrong. So I'm gonna click OK here, and you will see that that will work correctly. I mean, delete, something went really wrong, really, really wrong. So everything is working correctly, and you wouldn't know that when you actually save these things into the repo and push it online, and the build happens, it will fail. It will break because there's a small error. So let's go back here to our code. And I mean, this works correctly, but delete UI or YUI compressor doesn't really like using some literals as properties. So this will fail. It will say, I don't know what it is. I don't know why you're placing a delete here, and I'm going to shut down. So why is that happening? Or how can we know that that is happening? How do we know that we're using UI compressor? And I'm going to show you that now. So if you go back to your AEM instance, but you're going to go to a new place. You're going to go to system dash console dash config manager. So here on the configuration manager, you will see or you will find all the under the hood options of your AEM local instance. It's really not recommended to modify it a lot, but we can definitely look at some things that are or might be of interest here. So the one that we should be looking for right now is something that's called the Granite HTML Library Manager. So let's do that. Here it is, Granite HTML Library Manager. So when I click here on Edit, so I can modify the configuration values, I can click on, okay, I want this to be minified or not. And the description reads, okay, compress JS and the CSS files using the UI compressor, YUI. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this one, but yeah. So if you click here and then save the configuration, whenever you do a new deploy, it will automatically grab all the JavaScript files, all the CSS files, and compress them using the UI compressor. This usually is not set up at all in a local environment because it hinders a little bit of progress. I mean, you can catch this kind of errors that are very weird, but at the same time, normal debugging is going to be a lot more tedious and a lot more complex because of the minification. So usually you will not find this turned on here, but on the production environments, you will almost all the time find it that or know that this one is turned on. So we're not going to do that. I just wanted to show you where you can find that. So how do I do this? And how do I find out if there are any errors? What I usually do is I went ahead and looked around for the actual jar file that would allow me to do these kind of comparisons locally, and just instead of waiting for the code to go to the server, I can do it locally, and I can find out if something's breaking before I even do the commit. So how do you do that? Well, you need to open. Well, first of all, this one is, I mean, fine, but I need my JavaScript file. For me, it's this one, support homepage.js. For you, might be something else. Basically, this will happen to any client lib that you have on your project or your AEM instance. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save, and then I'm going to go to UI and support homepage. So that's good. And then I see here on this UI folder that I have the UI compressor and the support homepage.js file. So now I'm going to open a terminal and I'm going to go there. So it's here. And what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to just run the Java, run the jar file. So java dash jar UI compressor 2.4.8.jar, and then the name of the actual file that I want to minimize. So that's port homepage.js. I want to add the O switch, and I will that the O switch tell me where I'm going to output the file, and from here I'm going to say I want it in support homepage.min.js. It doesn't really matter, just have it be something different than what you currently have. And enable, oh, I added dash that wasn't there. So starting the UI compressor, and there we go, we have an error. And it will actually tell you where that error is. So basically it's saying, okay, line 5354. So let's open up that file and oops, let's go there. So 5354 or something like that. So there we go. It's looking for this delete, um, and that's the one that it's catching right now. So if I changed it to anything else, or if I really am adamant on using that property, I can do something like this, object delete. And I mean, right now, this is just so that you guys can see that it does work. After I make that change, I'm gonna just run ahead, run this command again, and after a little while, we will see that it completed. Whenever it completes and creates a file, it means that there were no errors. Otherwise, it will complain and drop anything here. So, and again, this is not exclusive to Angular. Actually, pretty much the opposite. This can happen on any library, jQuery, vanilla JavaScript, anything that you're trying to minimize has to be, has to have has to be done in a really careful way. Uh, I'm going to show you another one. Hold on a second. So I want to show you another one, and I'm not even going to place this inside of AEM at all. I'm just going to modify this support homepage.js file that I already have here and that we were playing with when we created the actual minified file. So we already know that delete as a keyword is just something that UI compressor doesn't really like. So and that should be like a rule of thumb because you really shouldn't use anything as or anything that might be a keyword as a property or as a variable or something like that, because UI compressor is going to complain about it, and it's not going to look good. So, for example, let's write something like, okay, I'm going to format something, and that's going to be a property. So the shorthand version is going to be, I don't know, and the long version, wow, it's going to be some value, you know. So that, I mean, that seems fairly nice and not bad at all. So I'm gonna run ahead and create again this, or run again this, and as we can see here, it right away is complaining about some things. So it's looking for a 5300. So this one. So it's complaining about the invalid property ID. So there are ways of fixing that. I mean, we can obviously we cannot use this notation here, but we can just add a couple of uh, quotes if we are adamant in using that value or those property names. If I run this again, this should work now and should not yield any errors. And there we go. So basically, again, this kind of errors really do not happen as commonly as they could. I mean, UI compressor will find some things that are wrong, but mostly, and again, the rule of thumb is do not use any variable or property name that might also be a keyword. And if you're going to use it anyway, be mindful and set it up as as a string here in both the object and the property. So that way we will avoid all those issues, and that will, I mean, that'll be way better. So that's it for this one. So I'm gonna just get rid of this one, and I'm gonna minimize this and minimize this one. Right. So the other one that I wanted to show you is a very, very common thing that happens on Angular projects, and let's I'm just going to show you why I mean with this, or what I mean with this. So here on our basic controller, well, first of all, I'm just gonna do a pitch and call this one delete is as a literal instead of directly as a property. And then I added here another message here at some point. And so let's do that. Let's populate that one with a call to the timeout. To the timeout service. So we're going to be adding it here, timeout function, and let's show a message after a second. So another message is going to be hello there from uh, timeout service. Uh, Again, really basic stuff. Again, let's deploy here. Uh, and let's, while that happens, go back here to where we have this thing, modify it. And let's add another div here below this one, and it was called another message. And close div. Let's see, okay here, and this is still working. That's fine. So right now it's not going to do anything because we do not have it. So let's go back here until this one is done. I'm not entirely sure why it's taking so long these days, but and I guess I have too many things running. So that's another good piece of advice. Don't run a lot of things at the same time because AEM does use a lot of memory, especially whenever you are trying to deploy new things. It's gonna chug up and eat up all your memory. So yeah, I mean, I will probably cut this one at some point, unless this one does it pretty quickly. Let's see. Nope. So this is probably going to be cut on the editing room. I don't know. Oh, maybe not. A minute 20. Whoa, that's so much. Anyway, I'm going to click here, F5, and let's see what we have here. Here we go. Oh, all right. You see what I did? That was stupid. Especially now that it's taking so long. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna go here to the CRXE file folder. And in case you didn't realize what I didn't place it inside the scope. But I'm not gonna compile that again because that's gonna take such a long time. So I'm just gonna look for basic control.js. So here it is, and I'm gonna modify it directly here. Um, that's something that you can also do on your local environment. And once you do that, you can refresh this page to see the change now in order. So I can now F5 here, click F5, and we should now see the change. Wow, taking so long. Okay, so hello there from the timeout service. So this is working. I mean, we're showing the message, and then we're showing another message, and all of this is fine and dandy. And actually, we already fixed that other issue here with the delete being a literal. And now, but there's another big error here. If we were to run this on the production environment, this will fail. The reason behind that is we're not injecting the minified service names or minified friendly service names. So these variables, scope and timeout, will get changed to whatever at some point during the minification process. And so the actual service will be lost because Angular does need to have it literally there. So how how can we you know shield ourselves from that kind of issues? Basically, you need to open up the page that you are using or wherever you are injecting your ng-app uh, directive. So for OLS, that case is this page, HTML class .html. Pay no mind really to most of the things over there. It really doesn't matter. But what you would need to do here is you're going to need to be adding a directive called ng strict di. So ng strict di, what it's going to do is it's going to force all the controllers, all the directives, everything that can have injection to have the actual literals. So again, to prevent myself from doing the entire, you know, deploy process, I'm gonna go look for that HTML class, .html file, and it's this one, I think. Yep. I'm gonna modify it, and I'm gonna add this directive in strict di. And click save. Then I'm gonna refresh this one. So I'm not doing any changes on the JavaScript because really JavaScript should be fine. But again, it's something that you would only notice being run when you went to the server. So as you can see here, now that everything has compiled, I'm only seeing the placeholders for message and another message. So if I open the developer tools, I'm going to see here that we have an injection error. And that basically means that we are not injecting our our services properly. So if I were to go back here and fix this, I can say something like basic cgrl dot inject equals scope and using timeout. So by doing that, I'm going to click save here. I'm going to refresh this one so that it shows up here. There we go. So with that change, we should get rid of that error. But I mean, ngStrict DI is something that is at least on OLS is part of the project already. So you do not need to add it. It will do the check-in automatically. But if you are going to be using this for something else, for a different project, you will definitely need to add it. So as you can see, after we added the actual injection correctly, then everything works, and we're good to go. So there you have it. That's it for this one. Those are maybe only two things, but are going to be things that are very, very useful. Also, these kind of issues are really head scratchers that take a long time to really nail down or to really track down because of the specificity of them and how they can be weird to get. So having this knowledge can help you in discarding some things earlier and not keep your going around in circles because of something that is definitely looking okay but might not be so on the actual server. So again, just to recap, use UI compressor, download it from. I'm going to place a link in the description so you can download it, uh, but use it locally and try it out whenever you are in doubt. Uh, be sure to have the ngStrict DI directive on your Angular application. Be sure to inject probably minified versions or minified friendly versions of the services that you're going to be injecting to controllers, directives, or services. And also, as usual, be sure to whenever you're loading up your file or you made some changes, be sure to clear the cache, and if that's not possible, to at least go directly to the location of that file that you were modifying. Maybe it was a JS file, maybe it was a CSS file. Just be sure to go to that location and refresh to make sure that the change is there, because otherwise you're going to be refreshing and reloading the page, and you're not going to be seeing the latest changes that you did. So I think those 3 to 4 things are some of the very basic things and very useful things that you will be dealing with when working with AEM. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you on the next time.